The cold hits you before you even open your eyes. Not the cold of a poorly heated bedroom or a morning commute in January. This is a cold that presses against your skin like a living thing. A cold that has killed animals 10 times your size. A cold that right now in this moment is already deciding whether you live or die. You are somewhere in what will one day be called Europe. The year is approximately 20,000 BCE, the last glacial maximum, and you have no shelter, no fire, no tool, no knowledge, and no one to teach you anything. You have exactly what you were born with. Let's see how long that lasts. Day one begins before sunrise. You don't know that yet because the sky doesn't lighten the way you're used to. It turns a bruised gray violet over a landscape that is almost entirely flat, white, and empty. The tree line, what little there is, sits far to the south. Where you are standing is open steppe. Wind crosses it without interruption. The temperature is somewhere between -15 and -30 Celsius, and that's before the wind. You are wearing whatever you arrived in. That matters more than anything else right now. A team of researchers at the University of Copenhagen, led by Nathan Wales, spent years studying Ice Age clothing. Not from written records, obviously, but from the animals themselves. From genetic analysis of lice. Human head lice and body lice diverged, the data shows, roughly 170,000 years ago. That divergence happened because body lice need clothing to live in, which means your ancestors were wearing animal hides for a very long time before the Ice Age even began. The problem is, you don't have any. Within the first hour, your fingers lose dexterity. You can still feel them, but the fine motor control is going. You couldn't tie a knot right now if your life depended on it, and it does. Your body is doing something automatic. It is pulling blood away from your extremities and concentrating it around your core organs, your heart, your lungs, your brain. Your hands and feet are being sacrificed to keep the center of you alive. This is called peripheral vasoconstriction, and it is one of the oldest survival mechanisms in your body. It will save your core. It will cost you your fingers and toes if the cold continues. You need fire. Here is what making fire actually requires. You need dry tinder, plant fiber, dried fungi, crushed bark. Fine enough to catch a spark. You need a friction source or a percussion source. Percussion means striking flint against iron pyrite, a specific type of rock in a specific way, to produce a spark that lands on the tinder at the right angle. Friction means using a hardwood spindle pressed into a softwood hearthboard, rotating it fast enough and long enough to generate an ember. Archaeologist Johann Kohler and his team, studying Neanderthal sites, found evidence that these techniques existed, but they required practice. Thousands of repetitions, a knowledge base passed from adult to child over years. You have none of that. You have cold hands and no dry tinder because everything on the ground is either frozen or dusted with ice crystals. By mid-morning, assuming you've been moving, walking, trying to stay warm, you are hungry in a way that feels urgent. Your body is burning calories at an accelerated rate just to maintain core temperature. Researchers studying modern cold climate populations, including work published by Hermann Ponzer at Duke University, found that cold-adapted humans burn significantly more energy in winter months, even at rest. Your body is a furnace, and it is running out of fuel. What is there to eat? In the Ice Age steppe of Europe, there are animals: woolly mammoths, cave lions, cave hyenas, woolly rhinoceroses, giant deer with antlers that span 3.5 meters, horses, bison. These animals are not hypothetical. Their bones are everywhere in the archaeological record. Sites like Dolní Věstonice in what is now the Czech Republic preserve entire hunting camps where Ice Age humans processed megafauna for food, fat, bone marrow, and hide. But here is what hunting those animals actually looked like. It was not one person with a spear. It was a coordinated group of hunters working a terrain they had studied for years, using knowledge passed from elders about animal migration routes, seasonal behavior, and vulnerability. The spears themselves, atlatl-thrown javelins in many cases, required hours of construction from specific materials: straightened wood shafts, flint or bone points, sinew binding. The hunt required stamina, tracking skills, and the ability to read animal behavior in real time. You are alone. You have no spear. You cannot feel your fingers. By afternoon of day 1, if you have been extraordinarily lucky, if you found some kind of windbreak, a rock overhang, a south-facing slope that catches what little solar radiation exists, you might still be alive. But you are cold, hungry, and your morale, if we are being honest, is gone. The psychological dimension of survival in extreme cold is something researchers don't talk about enough. John Leach, a survival psychologist whose work has been adopted by military survival programs, found that roughly 75% of people in life-threatening situations freeze. Not physically, but mentally. They become passive. They wait. They stop problem solving. In the Ice Age, passive meant dead. The night of day 1 is the real test. Temperatures drop further after dark. Without fire, without shelter, without the body heat of other humans pressed close. And this is something Ice Age humans specifically did. The archaeological evidence for communal sleeping in shared insulated spaces is substantial. Your core temperature will begin to fall. Hypothermia sets in gradually, then very fast. First, you stop shivering, which feels like improvement, but is actually your body giving up on the heating mechanism. Then you're thinking clouds. You make poor decisions. You might feel inexplicably warm, a classic symptom called paradoxical undressing, where hypothermia victims remove their clothing. Then you lose consciousness. Statistically, you would not make it through the first night. But let's say you do. Let's say you find a crevice. You pull your knees to your chest. You conserve every calorie. You survive night 1. Day 2 brings a new problem. Water. The landscape around you is frozen, yes, but eating snow costs your body more energy than it recovers. You need liquid water. Ice Age humans knew where to find it. Under certain ice formations, near animal tracks that converge on seeps, at specific geological features that remained unfrozen even in extreme cold. This is landscape literacy built over generations. It is knowledge encoded not in books, but in stories, in the names of places, in the teaching moments of elder hunters who walked this ground before you. You don't know any of it. By day 3, if hypothermia hasn't taken you, dehydration and caloric deficit are doing cumulative damage. Your judgment is impaired. Small wounds, from falls on ice, from brush, from any contact with the environment, are not healing cleanly because your immune function is suppressed. Ice Age humans dealt with injury constantly. The skeletal record is filled with healed fractures, healed wounds, evidence of long recoveries. But they recovered inside a social unit. They had people who fed them, kept them warm, watched over them. Eric Trinkhaus at Washington University in St. Louis has written extensively about the care that Ice Age communities provided to injured members, care that required sustained investment and resources. You have none of that. You are alone. Here is the thing about Ice Age survival that is easy to miss when you look at the mammoth bones and the cave paintings and the elegant stone tools. None of it was individual. Every skill, every tool, every technique for reading ice and tracking animals and stretching a hide and drying meat and finding water was socially held. It lived inside the group. Archaeologist Kim Starelny has argued that the cognitive revolution of the Upper Paleolithic, the explosion of art, tools, and behavioral complexity, was not a change in individual brains. It was a change in social transmission. Humans got smarter by getting better at teaching each other. You were dropped in alone. And that is the thing that would actually kill you. Not the cold, exactly. Not the predators. Not starvation. The absence of other people who know things. So here you are, probably somewhere in the second or third day, cold to your core, hungry in a way that has moved past discomfort into a strange hollow stillness. And what you are experiencing, this exact feeling, is what the Upper Paleolithic human never experienced alone. They were surrounded by knowledge, by people who had survived this exact winter, and the one before it, and the one before that. You wake up every morning, probably, without thinking about what it took for those people to survive, without thinking about the accumulated knowledge compressed into every habit your body carries, your ability to stay warm, to find food, to not die on a cold Tuesday in January. They carried that knowledge forward for you, across 20,000 years of winters, so that you could live in a world where the cold mostly stays outside. You wake up when your body is ready. And the reason you can do that at all is because, for 300,000 years, someone was awake to make sure you did.